Tonight, Polar Express, our coldest Christmas in almost 20 years, but the magic of the season still sparkles. Little joy at the airport though. Interstate storms caused multiple cancellations, grounding Adelaide holiday plans. Also an out-of-control caravan careers close to homes, but it's what happened next that had residents ducking for cover. Strap in for more shopping. Where to go for the biggest Boxing Day bargains. And the King breaks with centuries of tradition in his Christmas message.
This is Adelaide's 9 News.
Good evening. It's been our coldest Christmas in nearly 2 decades, but South Australians haven't let the chilly weather put festive plans on ice. From the church to the pub and in homes across the state, the warmth and joy of the season shone through.
It may not have been the summer Christmas South Australians were dreaming of, but in the season of giving, Santa never disappoints.
Oh my God.
Our furry friends even making the nice list this year.
Oh, what's this one? What's that one? What's that one?
But today was not just about the presents. Hundreds made their way to sacred services across the state this morning. This year's focus was on peace.
Because I think our world needs that in a time of trouble, wars everywhere, cost of living, people are finding it hard even to make ends meet.
I think it's hope for peace, hope for love and salvation.
Others spent the day making someone else's that bit more joyous. Ted Setniker celebrated his 15th Christmas in a row, serving up a feast for some of our most vulnerable.
A lot of people are lonely. They need something for Christmas.
For those who chose to avoid the stress of the kitchen, Adelaide's hospitality venues were welcoming families by the dozen. Down on South Terrace, the Hotel Alba's Christmas lunch was a sellout.
It's just a nice way to, bring some festive cheer to a lot of families.
Adelaide temperatures didn't even reach 20 degrees today, the coldest Christmas in 17 years. And while the chilly blast didn't stop some South Australians from hitting the outdoors, it certainly changed some festivities.
When I wanted to bring my water blaster, but I couldn't.
Picnics held under gazebos, barbecues under rotundas.
It's all good and I'm still having a lot of fun.
But I'm told the best way to stay warm on a frosty Christmas like this is to keep moving, or at least until lunch is served.
On skateboards and on the playground and on the swings.
We saw a bit of rain this morning. We thought, who cares? It can be better in Scotland because it's really cold in Scotland right now.
Samantha Hogan.
Merry Christmas!
9 News.
But it wasn't a Merry Christmas for everyone at Adelaide Airport, though, with multiple flight cancellations throwing holiday plans into turmoil. Will DeFulvio is there. Will, how many flights have been impacted?
Well, 11 flights in total have been cancelled, affecting both inbound and outbound passengers, while others have been delayed. And this is why the East Coast has been battered by bad weather. Check out Sydney Airport, where the lounge was turned into waterfront property. The heavy rain even making its way into the terminal as parts of ceilings collapsed. Brisbane and Melbourne also copping a drenching. That's led to significant impacts to flights to and from those locations. As a result, Adelaide passengers have been left high and dry. They've been forced to spend Christmas Day waiting around, some even taking a snooze. A Virgin flight to Sydney is only just leaving now. It was scheduled to depart a little over an hour ago, and customers on that flight trying not to let the frustrations dampen their Christmas.
That will cause me to probably miss my Canberra connection. Going to Canberra for my father's 102nd birthday.
I mean, I was already flying in a little bit late, so it's a bit of a shame to even lose a few more hours, but hopefully I can still get there. That's the main thing.
Well, passengers tonight are being urged to check with their airlines for any further delays or cancellations.
All right, Will DeFulvio, thank you for the latest. Some residents in the southern suburbs had a surprise visit from a man on their roof, and it certainly wasn't Santa. Instead, a 52-year-old man was arrested after a standoff with police that started minutes after crashing his caravan.
Wrestled to the ground, then wheeled into the back of an ambulance. after an early morning caravan cruise came to a crashing end.
So the top half of the caravan here in front of my house, and then the rest of the ute and the rest of the caravan 150 metres down the street through another fence. So yeah.
The caravan sliced in two, with the top ending up on one side of Marion Road, while its base and the Mitsubishi towing it came to a halt outside Spurrio Funda's front fence.
Someone decided to knock on our front fence and say Merry Christmas, but as you can see, they've done more damage than giving me a present.
The driver peeling himself from the wreckage and taking off on foot, finding refuge on the roof of a nearby home and flinging tiles onto neighbours' roofs. Vision from inside showing the moment debris started raining down.
I could actually hear somebody was kind of stomping so heavily on the roof, and they were just kind of smashing tiles.
One even hitting the back window of Pag G. Verma's car, shattering glass all over his baby seat.
It would have been nice if it was Santa who might be actually trying to come down out of the chimney, but unfortunately it wasn't that how it was supposed to go.
The entire ordeal unfolding just 200 metres down the road from the local police station, giving the offender little chance of escaping. The 52-year-old man of no fixed address soon coaxed down from the roof and taken to hospital for a medical assessment, but has since been charged with aggravated driving without due care, as well as unlawfully being on a premises and property damage. Kelly Hughes, 9 News.
While most children were in bed on Christmas Eve, 3 teenagers were under arrest in Seaford over a late-night assault on a service station worker. Police say 3 girls aged between 13 and 15 entered the ex-convenience on Shearer Drive just after 10 last night and stole a number of items from the shop. During the theft, one of the girls assaulted a staff member. They fled the scene, police tracking them down nearby. They've been charged with assault, theft and breach of bail. Another teenage duo is behind bars tonight, charged over an armed robbery at a service station in Salisbury. Police say the offenders, one armed with a machete, terrorised staff at the OTR on Salisbury Highway around 4 a.m. The boys, aged 14 and 15, allegedly ran off with a small amount of cash. Staff were not physically harmed. They've been denied bail. A family's Christmas celebration has been cut short by a hit-run smash at Davern Park. Police are still hunting for the driver, who witnesses say was violent and appeared drunk at the time.
A flurry of flashing lights, and not the festive kind. What had started as a joyous Christmas Eve gathering suddenly cut short.
While we were talking, we heard this loud bang, and it was kind of like a bomb went off.
The kids opening their presents and stuff like that, and somebody came racing in and said, "Oh, your car's been hit."
Andrew's car, now a mangled wreck, parked on Picks Road when it was shunted onto the curb by this Subaru around 11:30 last night.
Back quarter panel on the driver's side was all smashed in. The back axle was fairly badly bent.
Witnesses say the driver appeared intoxicated at the time.
He couldn't stand straight, he was slurring his words, and he wanted to have a fight with everybody.
When he got out the car, he was dumping alcohol down the drains.
The driver hadn't travelled far before the crash. Witnesses say he lives on the same street and his family tried to stop him from getting behind the wheel.
They did hold him for a while, and then he broke away and ran away.
Andrew now left without a car, while the driver was last seen on foot heading towards Peachy Road.
I hope he is caught, and I hope he doesn't get away with it.
Inga Nielsen, 9 News.
Many of us are still recovering from the pre-Christmas shopping, but bargain hunters are already gearing up for the Boxing Day sales. Dylan Smith is down at Rundle Mall. Dylan, thousands of shoppers are tipped to hit the stores across the city.
Yes, Will, and it's very much the calm before the storm behind me in Rundle Mall as South Aussie shoppers finish off their Christmas turkey and prepare to bag a bargain tomorrow. Big sales are tipped here in the city, with outlets offering up to 50% off. Shops in Rundle Mall will open from 9 tomorrow morning before they close at 5 tomorrow afternoon. And for those keen shoppers, David Jones is offering $130 gift vouchers for the first 100 people waiting in line before their store opens tomorrow.
We're expecting there to be $6 million spent in retail across the city, but as we all know, Rundle Mall is the heart of shopping here in the city, and so it's going to be an absolutely tremendous day.
Even bigger bargains are expected out in the suburbs, where some stores are offering discounts of up to 75%. Westfield, Marion, Tea Tree Plaza and West Lakes will all be open from 9 o'clock until 5 p.m. And Will, I know you love to find a bargain, so the advice for you and to all shoppers out there is to get in quick to avoid missing out.
Yeah, I'll be there bright and early, Dylan. Don't worry about that. Thank you. A woman has been arrested after two pro-Palestinian protesters stormed the stage at Channel 9's Carols by Candlelight in Melbourne. Young performers were escorted backstage as a demonstrator grabbed a microphone. Hosts David Campbell and Sarah Arbo quickly reassured the audience.
There's a lot of pain out there, and a lot of people are experiencing that. So we're just going to settle everything down for a second, and we're all going to be fine.
Today, the Prime Minister responded to the stunt.
Australia's social cohesion is absolutely critical, and we need to bear that in mind in all of our actions.
A 21-year-old woman was charged by police. Two other protesters were denied entry to the event. King Charles has delivered his first Christmas message since his coronation, addressing the conflicts that are impacting millions of people around the world. This year, the royal family is mixing old traditions with new ones. At the centre of celebrations is a cause close to the King's heart.
A wave and a smile from the King, greeting well-wishers outside St Mary Magdalene Church in Sandringham, enjoying a laugh with the owners of two dogs dressed as Christmas puddings. A more formal tone for Charles' Christmas message at Buckingham Palace, his second since his mother's passing.
It is also a time when we remember those who are no longer with us and think also of those whose work of caring for others continues, even on this special day.
He paid tribute to volunteers, some of whom were special guests at this year's coronation.
Emphasised the meaning of coronation itself. Above all, a call to all of us to serve one another, to love and care for all.
Standing for the first time in front of a live Christmas tree, which will later be replanted, the famous environmentalist spoke of the need to protect the earth, leading to a wider message about humanity in a time of war.
At a time of increasingly tragic conflict around the world, I pray that we can also do all in our power to protect each other.
One of the King's central themes about gratitude for service to others, that was also a major part of a special Christmas concert put on by the Princess of Wales.
The Royal Carols, the third organised by Catherine, saw the pews of Westminster Abbey filled with midwives, kindergarten teachers and others who support babies and young people.
Thank you for all you do in helping the very youngest members of our communities feel safe, valued and loved.
While all shared the Christmas spirit, it was the youngest, including the next generation of royals, who most warmed hearts. In London, Brett McLeod, 9 News.
How rock legend Jimmy Barnes celebrated Christmas at home after undergoing open heart surgery. That update next. Plus a slithery surprise joins Christmas Day lunch. Further proof tonight, John Farnham is making a strong recovery from cancer. His son has posted a photo of the singer enjoying Christmas lunch with his family with the caption, "Merry Christmas from the Farnhams." It's the first time we've seen him since his diagnosis in August last year. It's been a very wet Christmas as heavy rain and strong wind swept across Victoria. Emergency workers have taken hundreds of calls for help after homes lost power and others were hit by flash flooding.
Victorians had been warned to expect a cool and wet Christmas, but the force with which the rain hit still took many off guard. As daylight broke in the state's northwest, roads quickly became impassable, water levels rising in front and backyards. Emergency bosses issuing an urgent Christmas Day warning. People in Wedderburn and St Arnaud told to stay indoors.
I don't think we're expecting this much, and I don't think anyone in town was really prepared for the amount
that we did end up getting.
Local Maddie watched the football ground and tennis club at Wedderburn disappear as the town copped the brunt of the downpour. Muddy brown water was soon seeping through the lowest lying homes.
I can guarantee that my husband's going to throw a yabby net in that tomorrow. I don't see it going anywhere anytime soon.
There certainly was some damaging wind gusts around that part of the state, and I think the winds topped out yesterday evening around 95 kilometres an hour through Shepparton.
The first of hundreds of calls for help started in Shepparton last night, with ferocious winds knocking out power to 20,000 homes at its peak. This property under construction didn't stand a chance. As concentrated storm cells continue to move across the state, emergency volunteers are bracing for more calls. With fallen trees, cave roofs and submerged cars like this family's BMW in Mickleham, making it a Christmas few will forget. Amber Johnston, 9 News.
A dirt bike hoon has been captured on camera pulling off a dangerous stunt on a busy motorway in New South Wales. The rider popping a wheelie while also managing to stand up as he rides along past the cars. Police are aware of the video. A male prisoner has been taken to hospital after he was stabbed at a prison near Melbourne yesterday afternoon. An altercation broke out between two inmates. The man in his 40s has upper body injuries and is now in a stable condition in hospital. No other prisoners or staff were injured during the incident. Tradies have spent their Christmas morning boarding up shattered windows after a tobacco shop arson attack. Illegal cigarettes were seized from the store as detectives investigate if the attack is linked to a series of underworld fire bombings in Melbourne.
Melbourne's fierce tobacco war has seemingly heated up once again, this time on the streets of Croydon.
It's pretty disappointing, being a local community.
The level crossing removal office next door was smashed in before at least two arsonists rammed a vehicle through the roller door of the tobacco and vape shop, pouring accelerant and setting it alight just before 6 a.m.
Doesn't surprise me. Walked past there a week and a half ago and I thought, yep, give it time. It's a really young community around here, so it would bring a little bit of awareness to them and, worry.
Local workers were forced to spend their Christmas morning boarding up the shattered windows with their kids. While arson chemists and detectives scoured the charred remains of the store, uncovering a cache of illegal tobacco known as Chop Chop.
For the shopkeepers around the area, it just doesn't make it safe for anyone.
Investigators are working out whether this firebombing is linked to the series of arson attacks undertaken by two Middle Eastern crime gangs battling for control over the illicit tobacco trade. One key player is believed to be alleged underworld crime boss Kazem Hamad, who was deported earlier this year and is accused of pulling the strings from Dubai. Since March, more than 30 tobacco shops and related properties have been torched as a result of the ongoing feud. But as these attacks ramp up, so has Victoria Police. They've made more than a dozen arrests and seized millions of dollars worth of contraband.
Croydon doesn't need that. It's a good area.
Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
Rock star Jimmy Barnes is out of hospital after major heart surgery. He shared these snaps on social media, writing he's happy to be home for Christmas with his loved ones. His wife Jane has also thanked the surgeon, saying having him home is the best gift she could have asked for. One Aussie family had a slithery surprise today, a carpet python trying to join in the festive fun on the Sunshine Coast. But Santa's snake-catching helper had other ideas. He was stuffed into a stocking, the snake that is, and was then taken away safely. Straight out of a festive season classic movie. Next, the 6-year-old boy who ended up all alone at Christmas. Plus, the Pope's message to millions this Christmas. Pope Francis has called for peace in the Middle East and in Ukraine as he delivered Christmas Eve Mass at St Peter's Square. Speaking to 6,500 worshippers, he warned against the quest for worldly power, urging people to turn their attention to victims of war. Sarah Netanyahu, the wife of the Israeli Prime Minister, has also written to the pontiff, pleading for his help to facilitate the release of hostages. And tonight, fresh hope of a temporary ceasefire in the Middle East. Reports say Egypt is proposing a deal for Hamas to release 40 Israelis in exchange for a 14-day truce. The three-phase plan would also see an emergency security government in Gaza and is hoped to lead to a long-term ceasefire. Here comes as 68 people were killed in an airstrike in central Gaza. Riot police in Serbia fired tear gas to stop hundreds of anti-government supporters from forcing their way into Belgrade City Hall. The group hurled stones while demanding votes from last weekend's general election be recounted. Domestic and overseas election observers have noted irregularities, with claims of ballot box stuffing and vote buying. 2024 is set to be dominated by elections around the world, with votes that could change the future for years. From Asia to Europe to America, presidents, prime ministers, dictators and accused criminals all want to be in power.
Planet Earth, home to an estimated 8.1 billion people across more than 190 countries. In 2024, more than half of the world's population live in countries that will vote.
It's going to put a spotlight on the nature of democracy and the fact that there is more to democracy than voting.
In mid-January, Taiwan will go to the polls. The threat of China's expansion looms largest there. And there are two main presidential contenders from opposing sides. Lai Ching-te wants to defend Taiwan.
We love to see China can enjoy democracy and freedom just like us.
Kuomintang party candidate Hou Yu-ih wants to open talks with Beijing. China's president recently made it clear to US President Joe Biden he wants control of Taiwan.
No democracy should be threatened by an authoritarian country.
In March, President Xi's special friend, Russian President Vladimir Putin, wants to reaffirm his president-for-life status in an election amid the war in Ukraine. Journalist and anti-war candidate Yekaterina Duntsova wants to run against him. In the past, that has not boded well for challengers. Alexei Navalny was poisoned and disappeared from a penal colony. Experts say a seemingly inevitable win for 71-year-old Putin could embolden him in his desire of rebuilding a Soviet empire.
That's not a democracy. That is a sham. He wouldn't be having that election at all unless he was sure that he could guarantee that outcome.
An election in India will affect 1.4 billion people. Prime Minister Modi has led a surge in Hindu nationalism, and recent polls had his approval rating at 76%.
The race will take place, but I think it's absolutely sure who is going to win the race.
India's longtime rival Pakistan will vote too. Former leader and cricketer Imran Khan was convicted of corruption and has indicated he will run again despite still being in jail. And there'll be plenty of attention here in the US with a presidential election that could shape history. Once again, Joe Biden could run against Donald Trump. The Republican frontrunner needs to overcome rivals for the nomination and also dance his campaign around a calendar of court dates. And he's stepping up his rhetoric.
They're poisoning the blood of our country. That's what they've done.
The former president is a four-time accused criminal, but even a conviction can't prevent him from running. Joe Biden has been trying to balance impacts of wars in Ukraine and Israel and tensions with China with domestic issues on immigration and inflation, and warns democracy is on the ballot.
I felt something I've always believed, more strongly than ever before. America is a beacon to the world.
If he wins come November, America's oldest president will be 86 when his term ends. In the UK, the ruling Conservative Party has been in power for 13 years, with 5 prime ministers, including one who lasted just 49 days. Recent scandals, including COVID rule breaking, have seen the Labor Party tracking for a landslide. But the polls are tightening. Hold on, because 2024 could reshape the world. In the United States, Jonathan Kersley, 9 News.
Donald Trump has lodged a legal bid to dismiss the criminal case against him for seeking to subvert the 2020 election result. Mr Trump's lawyers argue he can't be prosecuted for his actions because he was acting as president at the time. If the case is delayed and he wins the election, the former US president could possibly simply just pardon himself. Security has been stepped up in Germany, France and Austria due to an increase in Islamic extremist terror threats. Police in Cologne have been searching the city's cathedral with sniffer dogs, warning worshippers to not bring bags to the services. The holidays are a time to be with loved ones, and that's exactly the problem for these protesters in Japan. A small group called the Revolutionary Alliance of Unpopular Men has hit the streets of Tokyo for their annual demonstration against Christmas Eve. Now, it's often viewed as the most romantic night of the year, in Japan, I guess. The unhappy chaps arguing the day is unfair to people who don't have a date or are unlucky in love. 6-year-old in the US has found himself in a real-life Home Alone situation after mistakenly flying to the wrong airport. The unaccompanied minor was headed for southwest Florida but ended up hundreds of kilometres away in Orlando. His grandmother ended up driving for 4 hours after Casper's bag arrived, but he didn't. Patients at one Australian hospital haven't missed out on Christmas Day fun. Santa paying a visit to children too sick or injured to unwrap their presents at home.
A long night of delivering presents to Christmas trees around the world.
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas!
Didn't stop Santa from getting back to work this morning, swapping his sleigh for a trolley full of gifts.
Merry Christmas!
Paying young patients a visit at Queensland Children's Hospital to spread the festive cheer.
Can you give Santa a big hug?
Delivering presents to those who couldn't experience the magic of Christmas at home.
Oh, I've got some earrings here too.
Ooh. Like 4-year-old Byron Bedford banged up after a bad fall.
Got some presents?
Unwrapping presents while wrapped in bandages.
Got some candy canes too, buddy.
And 13-year-old Bridget New, who broke her leg on a trampoline.
Hi, Santa. Some chocolates for you. Oh.
Even Queensland's youngest patients, some just days old.
Say hi, Bubba. Hello. Hi.
Making sure too not to forget the nurses hard at work on Christmas Day.
Good, Merry Christmas, everyone.
Claire Todd-Hunter,
Hey.
9 News.
Well, a game-changing device helping people with Parkinson's stay on their feet. That story's next. Plus, we have your ultimate guide to the best movies for the family this Boxing Day. Staying mobile and independent is often a crucial goal for people with Parkinson's disease, especially when their symptoms take hold. A promising solution is the use of a new device, and researchers have just received funding to develop it.
David Pix and Howard Lilly have Parkinson's disease. Among the challenges, managing tremors and walking without the fear of falling.
Anywhere you walk, everywhere, every step you take, you've got to be careful.
In Parkinson's, the gradual loss of dopamine in the brain is like losing engine oil in a car. Patients can suddenly freeze, big steps reduce to a shuffle.
It stopped me from walking pretty well.
We have strategies where the patients have to think and focus and concentrate to overcome the symptoms. That's exhausting for the patients.
This is right, that's good.
This newer strategy is designed to overcome that. Devices that strap onto the arms and ankles. They emit vibrations via a microchip inside the bands. Each pulse helps them to time each step.
The device can react in real time and provide the optimum stimulation. It's a pacemaker for their gait.
I'm going to turn here.
Trying the device for the first time, their steps are more pronounced, the turns easier to do.
You feel a lot more confident.
Felt good. Yeah, because it buzzed when my muscles would normally freeze up. It buzzed and I just paid attention to that.
UNSW biomedical engineers and partner groups awarded $1 million from the federal government to further develop the technology. This is just a prototype, but the next steps are to improve the aesthetics and make it more powerful, so this can be turned into a medical device.
We hope within 3 years to have a registered medical device available to people.
It'll reduce the risk of falls. It'll help them keep pace with their family and friends when they're out walking.
Gabriella Rogers, 9 News.
Most of the presents have already been opened, but there's more goods to come with a bunch of new movies hitting our cinema screens this Boxing Day. Here's entertainment editor Richard Wilkins.
It's a fairly diverse bunch hitting big screens tomorrow. Leading the charge, Jason Momoa is back as Arthur Curry. also known as Aquaman.
I'm the king of Atlantis.
And look who else is back, his nemesis, Manta.
I'm gonna kill Aquaman and destroy everything he holds dear.
Nice guy. And in order to do away with the power of the Black Trident, Aquaman hooks in his estranged brother Orm.
Good job, little brother. High five.
Do not call me brother.
Gee, talk about a complicated family. Yeah, there is plenty of action and specky CGI, what you'd expect with a $300 million budget.
I don't know what lies ahead, but we can't leave our children in a world without hope.
Aussie James Wan directs it, Nicole Kidman back as Aquaman's mum, and of course she's home for Christmas. Also heading off on holiday, a family of mallard ducks who decide to leave the safety and comfort of their home and take to the skies.
Wing deployment! Let's fly.
This is such a clever, beautiful film. The kids are just going to love it and will shriek with glee. There's even some toilet humor in there.
Can we land? You're old enough to do it in the sky now. We have a number 2 situation.
Oh.
So good. It's made by that Despicable Me mob, the all-star cast headed by Danny DeVito, Elizabeth Banks, and Awkwafina, who just nail it.
Just stay close to me and everything will be all right.
Don't worry, no one was injured in the making of Migration. It's fabulous. Also for the family, Wish.
Once upon a time stood Rosas, the most magical kingdom, founded by a king with the power to grant wishes.
You are their handsomest, most beloved king.
You're right. I am a handsome king.
Asha getting the gig as the king's apprentice.
People give their wishes to me, and I grant the wishes I am sure are good for Rosas.
Some of these will never be granted.
Not some, most.
They deserve more than
I decide
what everyone deserves.
And she smells a rat.
So I look up at the stars to guide me.
Yeah, that's Ariana DeBose doing her thing as Asha.
I wish.
So, with Star's help, she takes on the might of King Magnifico to ensure that those wishes aren't lost forever. Look, this is a lovely storyline, a couple of big songs. It's called Wish. Okay, this next one is definitely not for the kiddies. It's the latest from Emma Stone.
This is Bella,
who is a work in progress.
She's an experiment.
She is indeed one of a kind.
I am Bella Baxter, and there is a world to enjoy.
It's set in Victorian London. Bella has been resurrected, her brain swapped with that of her unborn child. Willem Dafoe is the experimental surgeon. Mark Ruffalo is the lawyer she runs off with. I know.
Oh.
Look, just as you're thinking, I'm not going to go and see that, you might, because it's as amazing as it is bent and quirky. In fact, many are describing it as the movie of the year. It's called Poor Things. And finally, what could be better than a light rom-com shot in Sydney and starring Hollywood it gal Sydney Sweeney, who plays Bea, who had a disaster date, a one-night stand with Ben. Mum and Dad will explain that to you, kids. And thought that was it, until they find themselves both heading our way.
Hey, I'm Ben. I was her hall pass on your break.
Wow, you are a child.
It's a pretty long flight. Do you want anything from the front of the boat?
I'm all good on creatine and small and security.
Nothing small about me.
Yeah, anyway, both of their exes are there at the wedding, and there are forces at work.
Honey, look who's here.
Who is that?
My ex. My parents have been trying to get us back together.
He's like a son to us.
Yeah, look, you don't have to watch MAFS regularly to know what happens next. It is always fun to see couples falling in love in our own backyard. Oh. It's called Anyone But You, and it's in cinemas tomorrow. Merry Christmas, and enjoy the movies.
Well, Australia's cricket has taken another swing at the ICC ahead of tomorrow's Boxing Day test as Pat Cummins prepares to juggle some challenges. Also in sport, tennis stars begin to arrive down under, preparing for the Australian Open. Australian captain Pat Cummins wants teammates to keep expressing their views in the wake of the Usman Khawaja's banned dove symbol. The skipper will take an unchanged 11 into a rain-affected Boxing Day test. But today, it was the kids keeping them on their toes.
A miserable Melbourne morning forced Australia's traditional family day indoors. Still, the captain had his hands full as their opponents made a surprise visit.
Thank you so much. Lollipops for all the kids, so that was great.
Unsurprisingly, Steve Smith didn't take a day off, but for the rest of the Aussie dads, this net session was all about the kids. David Warner's daughters showed they share their father's power, while son Albie made Pat Cummins' Christmas memorable.
We spent a lot of the year away with our families going to training, so it's great that we can bring them to work and all the kids can kind of see what the dads do.
But the ICC's latest ban on Usman Khawaja has left a sour taste.
I don't know the ins and outs of the application or anything, but yeah, I think it's pretty vanilla, a dove.
Cummins sees no difference between Khawaja's humanitarian sign and the religious icons displayed by Marnus Labuschagne, nor does opening partner Warner, labelling the governing body's decision a joke on Instagram.
Everyone's at their best when they bring their own self to any group, I think, so we're talking about people here, we're not just talking about guys that hit a cricket ball or bowl a cricket ball.
Tomorrow's forecast of up to 10 millimetres of rain hasn't taken the spring out of the skipper's step. But Victorian hero Scott Boland misses out on a slightly drier MCG wicket expected to favour the seam bowlers.
Message is always, we absolutely love what you're bringing. Unfortunately, you miss out on this one, but don't change. Just keep working hard and make sure you stay ready.
Mohammad Rizwan takes back the gloves for Pakistan, who will ditch the niceties to try to attack Australia on the biggest stage.
Just because one match hasn't gone our way, we shouldn't just be like, oh, this isn't working, or there's no Pakistan way.
Well, not even the weather and Christmas morning could keep some AFL stars in bed this morning. Melbourne's Angus Brayshaw joined brother and dogger Andy for the family's Christmas tradition of 100 100-metre sprints.
51.
That's a lot. St Kilda's Max King continued his rehab with a running session. The Dacos boys and fellow premiership pies Tom Mitchell and Isaac Quaynor clearly made plenty of room for lunch. He's still only 24, but Jaden Stevenson is eager to take on a bigger leadership role at North Melbourne next year. He's already mentoring the Roos' new draftees, and he believes they hold the key to a winning culture.
Cellar dwellers for the past 4 years, a last round win for North Melbourne has platformed belief.
I think we had 90% of our list hit PBs on their time trial coming back, so the fact that the young boys have put in their work in their off-season just shows that they're dedicated.
Just like his club, Jaden Stevenson has ramped up a personal rebuild. The once embattled prodigy now turned role model at Arden Street.
I remember in my first year I looked at people that were 24 and I still thought they were pretty young, and I still feel pretty young, but you look at our group, and in terms of our group, I'm one of the older players and more experienced game-wise.
Pick 4 in the draft, Zane Dersma, labelling him as his #1 mentor since joining the club.
It really encourages me to take on that more of a mentoring role. I've been trying to get in with Zane. He'll play a similar role to me, so if I can teach him anything that I've learnt over the last 6 years, it'd be amazing to pass it on to him.
But it's a two-way street. Youthful spirit is what energises the former Magpie and is the foundation of Kanga culture.
I think we've got 5 people over 26 now, which is crazy to think. A wide range of age groups. You've got little cliques here and there for their different age brackets, but because we've got a core group of maybe 40 people between 5 years, it's pretty solid.
Fresh faces also helping on-field issues. Little-known recruit Biggie Newon could be the key to filling the spot of $1 Million bomber Ben Mackay.
Biggie certainly stood out to me. I just think just his intercept marking and his ability to choose the right option all the time.
And with the boss backfiring, who knows how high they could fly.
He's so invested in making us better, he's so invested in improving the young boys, and he's got a coaching group that have similar interests to him.
Xander Maguire, 9 News.
Former world #1 Naomi Osaka has touched down in Australia ahead of this weekend's highly anticipated comeback at the Brisbane International. The 4-time Grand Slam champion made a swift exit from the airport, telling onlookers she was heading to the practice courts after a long flight. Osaka hasn't played professionally since September 2022. The Sydney to Hobart is a gruelling endurance challenge, but that doesn't mean every competitor is well versed when it comes to sailing. When the boat set off tomorrow, one sailor will have only days of experience, but that hasn't curbed her excitement.
It's not Santa's usual mode of transportation, but he never forgets those who are far from home.
Ho, ho, ho from Sydney with Rudolph.
The young and old getting their dose of Christmas joy amid frantic final preparations. The all-French crew on board Lenny given some Aussie classics to help them through the journey to Hobart, and they were happy to give in return, serenading Santa and his furry friend. Married Kiwi couple Michael and Tracy Porter don't mind the serenity, enjoying some quiet time on board Allegres.
Really, it's just the two of us, so we're happy being wherever we are, and we've had a few Christmases on the boat in the past.
From the two-handers to the super maxis, there's plenty of first-timers, but Winnie Yap takes beginner to a whole new level.
Mad? No, maybe I'm just completely insane? No, I mean, how often do you get a chance like this to do something that's completely crazy?
With less than 30 days sailing experience, Yap is one of 4 employees of legal software firm Leap, selected to race on perennial contender Law Connect.
The real pro sailors are doing all the work. We just keep them nourished and try to get out of their way, and I haven't fallen in yet, so that's pretty good.
She'll also manage Law Connect's live stream during the race, giving 24/7 insight into how the Super Maxi operates. Line honours runners-up in the past 3 races. There's only one thing this crew wants for Christmas.
Winning the Sydney to Hobart would be unbelievable and just epic, actually.
And what will the party be like down at the other end in Hobart?
Probably endless. No sleep.
Nicole Dunn, 9 News.
More woes for Chelsea in the Premier League. The Blues had a great chance to open the scoring, but Raheem Sterling wasn't in a gift. Miami has booked its spot in the playoffs for a second consecutive season after winning a Christmas epic against the Cowboys. It was a fierce battle, but Dolphins kicker Jason Sanders was the hero with this match winner in the dying seconds.
He's got it! Miami is in the playoffs!
Also in the NFL, the Patriots have upset Denver in a thriller that also went down to the wire. Well, a possible shower for Boxing Day, but warmer, sunny weather is on the way. A check of the forecast is next. First, tomorrow's speed cameras.
Wake up and laugh with Adelaide's #1 breakfast show.
Rudits and Loz tomorrow on 104.7 Triple M.
For the latest Adelaide news and traffic.
To the weather, and it really was a gloomy Christmas day. In fact, it was our coldest Christmas day since 2006. Today we had a top of 19.7 degrees. Overnight it dropped down to 13.7. Right now, still pretty fresh out there, 15, although a few showers around, nothing major at all across the metro area. Elizabeth up to 21 degrees, Mawson Lakes with 21 as well. Mount Lofty only managed 12, 20 at Glenelg, 18 at Noarlunga. Through the north of our state, temperatures ranging from 18 in the Clare Valley, 21 at Ceduna, all the way up to 28 degrees at Coober Pedy. Looking through the south, temperatures fairly cool to mild as well, really. Only 16 at Renmark there, 16 also for Mount Gambier, 22 degrees on Hindmarsh Island, 22 for Kingscote. Around the country for tomorrow, the wet stormy weather continues in Melbourne, 25 degrees. Not great news for the Boxing Day test. Brisbane, stormy as well, 33. Wet weather in Sydney, 28. Should be fine in Perth, and stormy up in Darwin. Back in South Australia for tomorrow, well, some showers, possible showers through the Clare Valley there, 21 degrees. Port Pirie, 25. Port Augusta, 24. 23 for Whyalla, but warm, hot, in fact, and sunny up there through the far north of our state. Through the south, some cool temperatures. The Barossa, 22 degrees. Possible showers, 21 at Mount Gambier. Murray Bridge, 22. Shower or two. And then if we look at the warnings, we do have some strong winds around tomorrow, mostly through the central and southern parts of our coastline, including the Adelaide Metro coastline, where there's a strong wind warning. Those winds will hit southwesterly at around about 30 knots, seas at 2.5 metres. Across the suburbs tomorrow, possible shower there. Outer Harbour 21, Golden Grove 21 as well. Glenelg 22, 18 up at Mount Barker, Noarlunga with 20 degrees in the city. Chance of shower mostly in the morning, then a cloudy afternoon, going for a top of 22. Then for the week ahead, Wednesday 25, not too bad. Possible shower again on Wednesday with 27 degrees. Friday and Saturday looking pretty good. Mostly fine there with 27 on Friday, 25 for Saturday. Sunny on Sunday, finally some sunshine there, 27 degrees, and it warms up to something a little bit more like summer on Monday with 29. And that is 9 News for this Christmas Day. I hope you can join us again tomorrow night at 6. I'm McDonald, and from all of us here at 9 News Adelaide, have a Merry Christmas and good night.